Today, I would like to talk about happiness. Is there any science for happiness? Yes, there is. So, the topic of the science of happiness is that the happiness it does not depend on outside. It depends on inside, depends on our thoughts and our brain. So we can learn to be happier. Can we learn to be happier in any situation in our lives? The answer is yes, we can. Everybody has a set point of happiness. It means different people in a same situation could be happier or less happier because of their set point that I will explain a little later. So, what is happiness? What is the definition of happiness? The definition of a happiness is a state that is associated with experiencing joy, contentment, positive well being, and calmness. It is a feeling of warmness and richness in life and wanting to live. Wanting to live. A happy person want to live more. And that's the reason happy people live longer. If sometimes a person feel like does not want to live anymore, it means the person is not happy. So when was the last time you truly were happy? I hope it is now. And also you can look back and ask yourself when was the last time that you feeling happy and you were content, you were calm. So where the happiness come from? Happiness is generated in the brain. There are different centers in the brain that are connected to our happiness and the ratio that they are working together. So a happy person's brain is different from a depressed brain, different in the point of the connections and which parts are more active. So the this is limbic system. The main emotional center in a limbic system is amygdala. The other area that they are related to our happiness is cerebral cortex, especially prefrontal cortex, right prefrontal cortex and a left prefrontal cortex. When we see an event and something happening in our life, whatever the event won't be, it does not mean that the person, as soon as seeing it, for everybody is going to have the same meaning, or people they are going to respond the same, or be happy or depressed the same, because that event is come to the emotional center and then depends on the relationship with the brain and the cerebral cortex that the person could be less happier, more happier. So in the happy person, the ratio of activity of the left prefrontal cortex to the amygdala and the right prefrontal cortex is higher. What does it mean? It means the happy people, they have more activity in the left prefrontal cortex. This is another simpler picture that what will happening in our brain. So we have the prefrontal cortex, we have the amygdala, and then connection between them. There are the centers that in the brain that they are related to happiness. They are hypothalamus, nucleus accumbens, septum, and in each center there are transmitter. When those transmitters are higher, the person can be happier. So when a person feel an emotions, then it will connect to the cerebral cortex, and prefrontal cortex being affected to the amygdala, and the person based on the memory and then activity of the prefrontal cortex uh, become happier or less happier or different standpoint of happiness. So we have some neurotransmitter in the brain that if this transmitter they go higher in the brain for any reason. It could be medication, injecting, whatever you do. If they're going happier, if they go higher, the person will be happier. So they are dopamine, endorphin, oxytocin, serotonin. Dopamine is a reward transmitter, a reward hormone. If somebody do something that feel rewarded, for example, whatever, cleaning the house or do something that feel accomplished, the dopamine goes higher and the person feel happier, or the person be appreciated, the dopamine goes higher and the person feel happier. The another one is endorphin. If the endorphin goes higher, and you can do it with exercise, the person feel happier. The other neurotransmitter is oxytocin, or they call it love hormone. And for any reason, the person feel kindness or love or hug somebody or hug animal, whatever they do that feel love, the oxytocin goes higher in the brain and the person feels happier. The other one neurotransmitter very important in happiness, and we call it happiness transmitter, is serotonin. If it goes higher, the person feel happier. How could it go higher? It could be with the medication or the things we can do ourselves. If a person have a happy thoughts, serotonin goes higher and the person feel happier. If light, especially sunlight, foods that they have a tryptophan, like a milk or almonds, some of the nuts, some berries, that when the tryptophan goes higher, the serotonin goes higher and the person feel happier. So what does it mean? When we bring this transmitter higher in our brain, we will feel happier. It doesn't matter what's happening outside, so we will feel happier. So what the happiness depends on? Is it depends on outside? It is depends on our life situation. It depends on the money. No, it depends on our thoughts. This is from Dale Carnegie. Happiness does not depend on who you are or what you have. It depends solely on what you think. Our thoughts. The happiness comes from inside. Happiness is affect our health. It's so important. Happiness is the highest form of health. Dalai Lama. Or happiness is preventive medicine. That's come from Lisa Frankie. Or happiness works like a vaccine. So in this time that the coronavirus and crisis and infection, the happier we are, the more our immune system is stronger, and we get less sick. And if we get sick, we heal faster. This is a Harvard study of 268 students over 3 decades. In summary, it showed happy people get less sick, recover faster, and live longer. Depressed people and happy people had more chronic illness and died sooner. When you get sick, we need our happiness. This is from James Allen in his book As a Man Thinketh. It said, there is no medicine like a cheerful thought or dissipating the illness of the body. So when we are sick, we need to be happier. We need to have faith, think positively instead of having fear. So when we talk about happiness, does it mean we will be happy all the time? It's like a blob and there? No, we can. Sometimes for different things in our life, we may feel less happy. Then we can bring ourselves up. While each of us has depressed hours, none of us needs to be depressed person. That's important. You don't want to be depressed person. We can go on up, but we can bring ourselves up and do something that we feel happier. That's the calm, that's the science of happiness is. It means you do something we feel happy despite despite the circumstances outside. So happiness generated in our brain. So happiness comes from inside, goes out. The outside event may affect us, but really the happiness generated in our brain. What could we do? Have more happiness generated in our brain. We can imagine that we are happy. We can say affirmation that we are happy. We can act happily. We can be thankful, gratefulness. Um, when we do these things, we focus on, we have a happy thoughts, we are grateful. These things cause that we feel, we generate happiness in our brain. So what could we do to activate the centers that in our brain that related to the associated with happiness? Nature. Go to nature, especially if you do, be mindful in nature. Listen to birds. Be there when you are there. Be mindful, fully be in nature. And the other one is exercise, especially exercise in nature. These are the things we can do and make us happy in any situation. First, and the most important one is you decide to be happy. When you wake up in the morning, you say, I decide to be happy. It doesn't matter what. I decide to be happy, and if I need to solve some problem, I'm going to do it, but I'm staying happy. Happy thoughts. If the negative thoughts, bad thoughts, sad thoughts come, without fighting with them, gently you start changing to happy thoughts. What is happy thoughts? Happy thoughts is the happy about the people you love, your children, the trip you wanted to go, the food you wanted to eat, the vacation, whatever things, good things coming up, the things you hope for. Meditate. Meditation, during meditation and sleep, the brain rewire. Usually when we are unhappy, we are focusing on unhappy thoughts. So when we brain rewire, then we start focusing on other things. Smile, practice smiling, practice laughing. Gratitude, focus on what you have, not what you don't have. A lot of time when we focus on what we don't have, we all start feeling bad. Grateful person is a happy person. Happy person is a grateful person. Flow, do something you love. If you do your job that you don't love it exactly the way you want it to be, do read the books you love, or watch a movie that you love. Do something that you stay in that flow. Exercise, go to nature, spend more time with the family. If you do these things, these 10 things, if you do them, or any of them you do, you are going to feel happier no matter what's happening in the outside world. So you may say, "But a lot of things happening in my life, and I need to do a lot of things." But this is a nice quote from Christian D. Larson, that's a New Thought author, in his small book, Just Be Glad. So I read it for you and you can see. Do not think that happiness must keep its distance so as long as you have so much to pass through. The more you have to pass through, the more you need your happiness. It is the mind with the most sunshine that can see the most clearly where to go and how to act, that the goal in view may be gained. The more you have to do, the more difficulties, the more challenges, the happier we need to be. You see, happiness brings success, not success brings happiness. This is a nice part from the book The Happiness Advantage by Sean Aker. Then I read it for you, some part of it. And said, thanks to this edge-cutting science, we know now that happiness is precursor to success, not merely the result. If you wanted to be more successful in a difficulty, you should stay happy. Waiting to be happy limits our brain's potential for success, whereas cultivating positive brains makes us more motivated, efficient, resilient, creative, and productive, which drives performance upward. So it's difficult time that the economy is challenging, and coronavirus and the problem with the jobs. So if we are happy, we find a better, better way to handle it. Happiness is come with a positive thinking. And a positive thinking is almost like a happiness. A positive thinking or optimism. We can do everything better with a positive thinking than negative thinking. That's for sure. So is there anything we can do to bring this our set point of happiness higher? It means in every moment, when any situation we be happier. Yes, we can. With mindfulness. Mindfulness. Be present in the moment. Meditation. By imagining to be happy. By acting to be happy. Acting happy means smiling. Being whole shoulder back. By being grateful. By being optimistic. When you practice to be optimistic, you become more optimistic and you become happier. In the Harvard happiness study shows that optimistic people also live longer and they are healthier and recover faster. Optimism is so dependent on success. Our success depends on optimism. When we are optimistic, it means you have faith, you think positive instead of fear. So this positive thinking and happy thoughts, it needs to be our habits. Read this quote from Norman Vincent Peale. Our happiness depends on the habit of mind we cultivate. So practice happy thinking every day. And remember, we can overcome any problem. Not some problem, we can overcome any problem. So, one thing that I learned, and the most important things that can make us happy is decide to be happy. And affirmation. When you affirm something over and over, it's your brain. You affirm it with your brain. Like your brain saying it to yourself. So when you wake up in the morning, say this: I am in charge of how I feel. I am in charge of how I feel. Today I choose happiness. So you choose happiness. You are in charge of in your field, not somebody else. So you want to repeat this affirmation over and over and over. I choose to be happy. I deserve to be happy. I feel happy. I am a happy person. I am happy.